All right, welcome back to another edition of the Wolverine.com podcast with Doug Skene from the Yacht Club at Tawas, I believe it is. So looking good, Skene. Having a great summer?
Having a great summer, Balas. Very blessed to be up here. Tawas Bay Yacht Club is a great spot to be. As we've talked about before. Yesterday, Balas, as you know, I like the game of golf. So I took the day off yesterday to go to the Great Lakes Invitational in Midland at the Midland Country Club. Anybody that has not had a chance to do that, I highly recommend it. Got to watch and follow Annika Sorenstam for most of her round yesterday. Yesterday was only the second event she's played in since coming out of retirement. So very, very cool to see the greatest female golfer ever play for a round of golf on an awesome country club. And it was a great day. So yeah, I'm having a good summer. Enjoying.
Did she tell you that playing with Bill Simonson was the highlight of her career? No, not yet. Okay.
No,
I'm cool to hear that up north.
Yeah, believe it or not, we didn't have a conversation.
Oh, really? She didn't recognize you?
No, she didn't recognize me or the fact that, we know Bill. So no. The extent of the conversation was my wife, Tracy, told her good shot when she drove a 3-wood from like 200 and something yards to within 20 feet of a pin. Wow, just watching those players play, Balas, again.
Wait a minute. You saw me do that up north on the par 3. So, yes, you did.
Yeah, it was not a par. You're right. It was a par 3, but you hit your driver across that pond.
No. It was the second par 3. I hit the 3-wood and the one with the hill, the sloped green. Come on, man, give me a little credit. It's the highlight of my golf career. So, anyway, forget all that.
It's been a good summer. How about you, Balas? What have you been doing this summer?
Not a whole lot. Waiting to talk to you, man, and get you back on the podcast. So doing a lot of writing. We got the football preview to bed, but let's talk some football here. And let's talk first things first. We lost Gary Moeller. And, I remember talking to you when we lost Bo Schembechler on the way down to the Michigan-Ohio State game. It was a Friday night before the 2006 contest, and you and all your teammates were broken up about it. And I know you have strong feelings for Gary Moeller, too. Who took over for Bo Schembechler, and we always knew that he was going to, but it was a pretty seamless transition scheme, and he won Big Ten Coach of the Year twice in his first 3 years. You guys, he revolutionized the offense. You guys were, you chubby guys had to get in a little better shape to move a little faster, if I'm not mistaken. And but just talk about what he meant to you and your teammates, because in my dealings with him, always just a first-class guy.
Well, off the field, Coach Moeller was awesome. We all loved him, and it was obvious that he loved us. And but a great coach to be around. And yeah, when Bo had retired, there was a lot of wonder about what the program was going to do. Were we going to have significant changes? Was it going to feel and look and be different? And what a great job he did to retain the same culture and boy, it just felt the same. It's just except that Bo wasn't there. So, and then the communications that we had as we got to be juniors and seniors with Coach Mo and upperclassmen certainly felt very, very sincere as he wanted our opinion on things. Would talk to me and my classmates about the way things were going with the team and so that relationship was strong. I really, really appreciated, everything that Coach Mo did for me. Even when Bo was the head coach, obviously Coach Moeller was, he was running that offense when we got there. And so, Mo had an enormous impact on what was going to happen on the field and who was being developed and what was going on. And so, we all had very strong feelings for him. And still do. So it was very sad to see him go. But at the same time, as you and I chatted the other day, boy, what a great run that he had. What an awesome career. What a great life. And, all the stardom that he had at Ohio State. And, I know Ohio State meant a lot to him. And the fact that he came to Michigan for all those years and did what he did. And you and I have talked about this before. I don't think that'll ever happen again. I don't think that, an Ohio State star. Imagine you're the captain of the Ohio State football team, and someday you have your full allegiance to the Michigan football program and become to be a head coach. And so that takes a special person to do it, and he did that. And so at 81 years old, and the last time I saw Mo was at one of the reunion games in Ann Arbor for our teams, and remembered everybody's names, and it was great to see him. And so sadly, as he's gone, it's that cliche circle of life thing. You look and go, yeah, it's sad that he's left us, but what a great honor it was to have known him and been led by him. And as I said to some other folks, the stuff that I learned from Moeller, I do to this day in work and at home as a father and a husband. And so this is the legacy that he leaves behind. And so,
Exactly. And
the football stuff, Balas, back to, you said chubby guys getting a little bit better shape.
Yeah.
We ran our asses off endlessly to run that no huddle offense that he wanted to put in, which he did put in.
Yep.
Holy cow, did we run? We never ran more because, summertime we ran with Gittleson all summer and got in great shape. And then we get to camp and he made us run even more.
Yeah.
And that first year we did it in the Big Ten, it was a track meet, right? We were just running people off the field. They were gassed by halftime because we were running that no huddle stuff. And the entire playbook at the line of scrimmage with colors and numbers and code words. People were on their heels, and that was a lot of fun. But boy, was it a lot of work. But it was worth it.
Yeah, you're damn right it was worth it. 2 Big Ten championships under Mo. Actually, 3 when you were there, 90, 91, 92. You should have brought the rings to show Annika. I think that would have impressed her. But maybe then you get her attention. But regardless, a great guy. And, of course, we know how he went out. We don't need to rehash that because that is not his legacy. I was talking to our John Borton yesterday, and he said, if we were all judged by our worst night on earth, none of us would be looking very good at this point. And so, when I remember him, the one thing I remember about him, Skene, and the one time that I really engaged with him one-on-one, he was sitting next to us in the press box at the Ohio State game. They gave him a seat up there next to the media. He probably should have had a better seat, but it was a good seat. And, he was looking down there and Rich Rodriguez was coaching, and he said, what I wouldn't give just to be down there one more time. And I looked at him, I said, Coach, I think all of us are saying the same thing right now. And he comes over and he pats me on the shoulder, and puts his hands on my shoulders. And I'll never forget that and how good that made me feel, but just because we knew and we understood what he meant to this program beyond just being the head coach at Michigan. But for 20 years, I think 11 coaches in Michigan history were at Michigan for 20 years. So just an unbelievable legacy and what he meant to this program. I don't think he's going to get the due he deserves, but to me, he's right up there, like Jim Brandstatter said, with the best of the best.
Yeah, and unfortunately for Moeller's time, 3 back-to-back titles in his first 3 years. He's sandwiched between Schembechler and Coach Carr, and we all know what those 2 great coaches did. So, those of us that played there, those of us that knew Coach Mo and that staff and the program, we'll never forget him. And when we talk about him, we'll say the same things we just talked about now. He was one of the greats.
Yeah. Now with Mo, was it a little different with Mo? Were you guys able to be yourselves a little more? And I know Everett, was out there and what you guys were doing, or was Mo more of a no nonsense guy too, or how much different was it?
No, it was different, right? So because Coach Moeller was not Bo, right? They are 2 different guys. They were 2 different guys. And so there were some differences that certainly felt maybe a little bit looser, right? Bo liked to run the building like it was, the field battle tent for General Patton. And that was the idea, walking around there, like make sure you stand up straight, keep your head up and at all times be ready to salute when the general walks by. That was, I'm paraphrasing in my own mind of those experiences, but, Coach Moeller was a little more relaxed. Yeah. It felt like maybe a little more approachable. And, football wise, so much had changed that naturally we had a lot of questions and a lot of wonderment about how, what we're actually going to try to do. So there was naturally a closer relationship, I think, with us players and the coaching staff about what we needed to do in those first couple of years as that new style of offense was installed at Michigan. So it was good times. And I remember having good meetings with Coach Mo in his office and the messaging from Mo was still very direct. Skene, you're too fat. You need to be faster and work hard. Cause that was just always the message for me that I needed to hear. And I got the blunt answers from Coach Moeller, just as I did from any other coaches. And to this day, my closest friends say, Skene, you're too fat. You need to be faster.
That guy in a yellow shirt.
Right.
Hey,
Even Penn State fans are telling me, hey, fat guy.
no, no, you did a great job. And
No, I listen. My experience with the transition to Coach Moeller and ours was awesome.
yeah,
Hey, we won the Big Ten every year. Went to all those Rose Bowls, and at that time, the way the college football was set up and the structure of the Big Ten, we were at the top and
yeah,
just a few plays away from an undefeated national championship season. We were undefeated in our last year, but we had those stupid ties because we didn't have overtime in college playoff or college football back then.
yeah.
But we had good teams, Balas, and you know that. You watched us play. We had really good teams.
Yeah, we'll miss Gary Moeller. All right, let's switch gears here and talk about name, image, and likeness. I know your favorite thing and about college athletics these days. And let's not call it college athletics anymore, amateur athletics. Let's call it what it is. It's semi-pro football. And Michigan's playing from behind a little bit. We're seeing it in this recruiting class, Doug. And it was really kind of what we were concerned about going into this. Is Michigan going to be prepared? There are things that in talking to people behind the scenes, they're saying this isn't sustainable. What's going on, this pay for play, it'll all even out eventually. But if you have a couple bad recruiting classes and it leads to a couple bad years on the football field, then you're going to be playing catch up again. Kind of the way they were when Rich Rodriguez came in and, that fell apart and set the program back at least 5 years. So your thoughts on where this thing is headed and Michigan's role in it? I can't imagine that you want to see Michigan start paying for players, do you?
Well, of course not. I think us Michigan fans and us old school college football fans want to see as close to as possible as the structure of college football that we had before NIL. But I would tell you that I think it's all gone. I think that the days of that era are absolutely gone. I think the days of the era of the blue blood programs having, the school and the uniform and the fight song and the stadiums as their advantages over other schools to recruit kids, which all came with a lot of success. I think that's gone. The way I read this, the way I understand this, and talking to some people that are in and around the college NIL scene, some people that work with agents, players now, it's all about the money, man. And when you see, high school kids coming out of school, getting multi-million-dollar offers to show up at a school and driving the fanciest of cars and automobiles on earth and all the clothes and the jewelry and whatever it takes to get a kid to come play for you. And most of the schools and other parts of the country are playing at that level to just go buy players and buy a roster with nothing stopping them from doing it. As I feared, I thought Michigan would be left in the dust because I didn't think we were going to want to play that game per the rules. And I don't think we are playing that game. And I do think there's going to be a dip here. Now, you said something earlier, it's unsustainable. I also believe that to a degree right now, Balas. But I also think that, yes, it's unsustainable, but it's going to take a little bit of time for the free market to work itself out. How many kids are, the NIL thing, how many kids are going to get signed to these multi-million-dollar investment deals? And if I'm a millionaire and I want to go buy a bunch of players from my favorite college and 3 of the 5 of them turn out to be not so great or, have whatever problems and don't turn out to be the kind of players that I expected them to be, well, how do I feel about my multi-million-dollar investment then? So there's going to be some caution and some changes to the way I think these guys are being paid. But that's going to take a few years to wash itself out. Yep. And so investors, if you will, or heavy donors at the college level across the country are going to be just like NFL teams in that, hey, we can look at this free agent, which is what a kid is now at the college level, because they're all free agents all the time because there's basically nothing stopping them from transferring. We can look at this free agent and decide how much money we want to give, but what's the risks? And how much money do we blow? We can already look at an example. The Ewers kid, right, at Ohio State, the quarterback. Whoever pooled that money together to get him to go there, that was a lot of money. And the kid played, 1 semester and a few games and gone to Texas where he's, getting some more money. And now because of the Manning kid down there, he may transfer again. Right. And so how many times is this going to happen before the people with the money say, wait a second, let's adjust this? But for now, I think Michigan is being left a little bit in the rearview mirror. I think we're in the rearview mirror to start this whole process because Michigan wants to do things the right way, as we should. But sadly, the way college football is going right now, it's going to be a dramatic change, and I don't think we're going to be necessarily at the top of this.
No, I don't think ever. Right? And it's kind of like when everybody says, "Well, can we beat Alabama and Clemson?" You're never going to be that. I'm sorry. And Michigan really never has. There's a reason that Michigan's got one half of a national championship in 50 years, right? And it's because they haven't been willing to go all in, I guess, the way that other programs have. You look at the bodies, you look at the athletes. That Georgia defense was a generational thing or a once every 10-year thing. We'll have something on this in an article today. But the way they prepared for Michigan and the talent on that team, you're not going to see that very often. And guess what it takes to get that? Just a hunch. I guess I can't really say it definitively because I don't have a paper trail.
Listen, I don't think it's a hunch, man. I think high school kids and college kids right now are walking into a coach or whoever the handler is or who their handlers are, the uncle or the
you can call them agents
trainer.
now. You can call them agents now, Skene, because agents are approaching these guys.
Yes, I'm very aware of that. So you could call them whatever you want to call them, what term you want it. Basically, these players are contacting these other football programs or coming out of high school with a number already in mind because, there's a recruiting website that says, this right here says that I'm worth $500,000. So that's the starting point, coach. So what kind of package do you have for me? And if you're thinking anything other than that in college football right now to try to get a player, I think you're at the back of the line. You're not anywhere near the front of this thing. And do I think Michigan's playing up there in the front? No. I don't think we are.
I know they aren't. And it is On3 actually at on3.com. You can go and see the estimated value of kids, and it's growing. There are kids that Michigan has led for, and that's the sad part, And I'll give some of these kids credit. Some of the kids they've landed have been approached with huge deals, and we're going to take, kids. We're going to take care of your mom and everything else. But the Michigan coaches have done as good a job as they can. That's the thing. They're being criticized. Some of these guys. I listened to people criticizing Sharon Moore, who I know is a great recruiter, and loses a kid to LSU because because Brian Kelly apparently told him he wants him to transform the academic reputation of the school. I'm sorry, I'm trying not to crack up here, but yeah, so they're doing a great job. But you know what? It takes a lot to convince these kids that hey, you're going to get yours, and they're starting to get theirs here. But Michigan's just getting started in this thing. I will say this though, there are a couple people that have approached me about some collectives that they want to run, and I'm hoping that the other guys already involved are open to this, and that this doesn't become hey, this is our baby. This has got to be a team effort, Skene, if they want to be competitive.
Yeah, it's going to have to be. It's not going to be just one, right? It ain't going to be just Stephen Ross buying the roster. It can't be, right? But you mentioned that the neutralizer, right? That's a difference. So if I'm a high school kid or if I'm a guy on a college roster anywhere in America right now and I'm looking around the country going, well, where do I want to go? Well, yeah, Michigan's got a lot to offer, right? And they got, all the facilities and the tradition and a great degree and academic and experience opportunities on campus that is unique in a lot of ways. And maybe I can go there and over the course of a couple of years make a few $100,000. Let's just make that number up. Or hey, Ole Miss just called my agent, and Coach Kiffin down there is telling me, or his people are telling me that I've got a package worth $750,000. Yeah, they don't have Michigan Stadium, they don't have the uniforms, and they haven't been as relevant as Michigan has in the last couple years, but $500,000 will go a long way. So sorry, Coach Harbaugh, I'm out of here. I'm going to Ole Miss. See ya, bye. That's what's happening in America right now, and it's not just in the example I gave, but if you're an all-star player or all-conference in the MAC, you ain't staying at Eastern Michigan or Western. You're going up to the Big Ten next year, and you're finding money to do so. If you're an all Big Ten linebacker at Indiana, why would you stay there if you can go play your last 2 years at Ohio State or at Oklahoma, and they'll pay you $500,000 per season? You're going, transfer, see ya, and you don't even have to tell your head coach. You can tell him, oh, yeah, I'm staying. Hey, sure, coach, I'm staying. I'm looking, I'm going to be all for the team. And the night before the transfer portal deadline hits, You drop your name in, and 48 hours later, you show up in Norman, Oklahoma, or Southern California playing for the Trojans, and you got $1 million in your pocket.
Yeah.
That's what's happening in college football right now, Balas. You know this. You and I know this.
Yes.
Because we hear the stories. We know the people who are right next to this stuff. And Michigan is not playing in that arena. And that's what sucks. So I'm bracing, right? I'm bracing for this reality that we've seen. And I'm kind of thinking, for Michigan football, we're not going to disappear. Michigan football, in my mind, as we have discussed before, I think we did with Huge over at the Tullymore events, it's going to be like every 3 to 5 years. You know,
Yep.
the planets are going to align. You're going to have a Hutch and a Jabo and a quarterback, and you're going to have a team that's going to make a run at it every 3 to 5 years. The question is, what will that run look like? Is it going to end the way we've seen Ohio State and Michigan's runs end in the last 2 seasons with getting destroyed by a team from the South? Sadly, I think that's the case.
Yes, I do too. 100%. So, all right, let me ask you about expansion here. First of all, the new president. We broke the news this week that Santa Ono, who was at Cincinnati, now at British Columbia, or was at British Columbia, now coming to Michigan, was going to be the next guy. This is a guy that's been crowd surfing at Nippert Stadium in Cincinnati, loves football, loves athletics. To me, a breath of fresh air. You're going to have some synergy, in my opinion, between the academics and the athletics people that they haven't had before. And he wants to still win at the highest level. He's not a guy looking for excuses. That can only help the program, right?
Good grief, Alice. That's when the president of the university knows where the football building is, where the basketball, who the coaches are, and the facilities, and is all in on athletics and understands the value of how an athletic department and a football, basketball program can drive the entire university and understands how to leverage that. That is nothing but great news for Michigan to have someone at the leadership position like that. And then the crowd surfing, the excitement, that's just going to draw your students in excitement and all those things. And, you know, those empty student sections that you see in every Big Ten football stadium across the country, especially if it's a noon game and they're all sleeping off their night before hangover. Maybe a guy with that kind of excitement may help, fill those seats on those noon kickoffs and just drive energy and excitement. So that is really cool to hear, because in the previous presidency we had at Michigan, I wasn't so convinced the dude even knew where Schembechler Hall was,
Right.
Nor cared.
Mm-hmm.
And so that doesn't mean that he didn't have his own expertise, but as he leaves town with his tail between his legs in shame, which sucks that someone in a position of that has to do that and cause the problems for the Block M and bring that kind of negativity. This is a breath of fresh air for our new president. That's exciting, and I think I look forward to seeing what this guy's going to do from that position to make people excited about coming to the games and sports and the women's sports that Michigan has going on and everything else. I think it'd be cool to watch.
Yeah, and Mary Sue Coleman was great, I thought, in that role. She was probably the one who was most in tune with it when she came over from Iowa. So, and kudos to her for taking over when Schlissel got the axe. So, and coming back, she was in Colorado playing with her grandchildren, comes back and does her duty there. So, all right, USC, UCLA, man, in the Big Ten. I can't stand it. You know what? Get off my lawn. I don't give a crap. You know what? To me, this whole thing, it's like, what are we doing here? And I understand it from a financial standpoint and, adapt or die type of thing. But it's exactly what Schembechler predicted. It's exactly what Lloyd Carr said, when he was in the twilight of his career. And he said, if there's a playoff, I don't want to be around to see it. And he said, oh, wait a minute, maybe I better strike that, because he knew it was coming. But yeah, to me, it's, you've cheapened the regular season to an extent. Or at least the bowl, the postseason. You've got, the only thing that matters are those 4 games or those 2 games at the end of the year.
Well, I think the falling apart of the Pac-12 with USC and UCLA leaving to join our league, it just, for me, Balas, and you and I have talked about this, and with some of my old teammates, we've talked about this. This just puts a border and a wrap on the era that we knew is over and gone.
Yep.
And now my generation of guys that played in across the country, we're the old grainy film that's on VHS tapes with the old graphics, when we look back at Keith Jackson calling our games, and boy, what an exciting time that was, because it was. But that era is now officially gone. And college football now is a coast-to-coast operation, just like the NFL. Time zones don't matter anymore. It's all about building a league to protect itself, driving enormous, staggering amounts of revenue to your league from television contracts and local market, initiatives, et cetera, everything you want to identify there. The Big Ten is now coast to coast. I would look for the SEC to do the exact same, more than they already have. The SEC doesn't have anybody on the West Coast yet, but they probably will. And then it's going to come down to, hey, let's set up a playoff system, and we'll leave the NCAA out of this altogether, right? As they already have in the playoffs, right? And so this is just where it is. And you talked about semi-pro football. It is pro football, right? Just with sprinkle in a little college, classes in between. For schools like Michigan, where you actually have to go to school. But at most of the other schools, you don't even have to step foot on campus. You can just sit in front of a computer and do your classes forever. Right. So this is professional football at the college level, and it's going to be the same in basketball. It'll be the same in some other sports as well, to a degree, but none more than football. And you can say it sucks because we've lost the era that we love so much, that I personally had a chance to be a part of. And it's just a matter of, it's a history mark now. And so the new sun has risen, and it's over. And it's all about the money and driving this excitement toward these leagues. And well, I guess we should just embrace it, or sit back and say, yeah, get off my lawn, kid. And I like the old days. And my feeling is, hey, don't get off my lawn, kid. Let me tell you about the old days and why they were what they were. And then let's talk about the new days.
Well, they won't do that. They'll have their heads in their phones. So now get off my lawn. So I will say one last thing, though, Skene, and speaking directly to boosters who write the checks. Okay, these are guys that are directly involved. And in fact, one of them who is funding a lot of this stuff and trying to make sure they are committed to making sure that Michigan is competitive. And in fact, I had a guy tell me that, hey, this is what the starting quarterback should be making at Michigan. This is what I expect him to make by the end of the year, which I thought was a positive. Okay. In other words, this is what we have in mind, and it's positive momentum as NIL is concerned. That, of course, begs the question: is there going to be jealousy in the locker room, so on and so forth? So we aren't talking numbers anymore. We aren't doing that. But I will just say that these boosters are committed to getting Michigan to this point. And of course, it's once they get here. So whether that means they're going to get kids from the transfer portal, whether they're going to make promises, who knows? But at least there is a group of guys committed to the cause.
Well, that's reassuring to hear, and I believe that to be the case for Michigan, and every other school is going to have a group of alumni that care about their athletics and that have the capital to support these programs. Michigan and others, it's going to be the same across the country. The question is who's going to have more, who's going to have deeper pockets, and that'll be a differentiator for a lot of things. You mentioned not talking about the money and problems in the locker room. Balas, there's no secrets, man. In those locker rooms, guys are going to know what other dudes are making. It's just like being in an NFL locker room where you're always going to know the quarterback's making $10 million a year, and I'm making league minimum at left guard because I'm trying to make it in this league, right? You're just gonna realize these things. The question is for the players, when the differences that that guy's making this much and that guy's making that much and I'm only making this much, what will that do to the individual? Will they get pissy and jealous and angry and become a problem on the team? Or will they go, hey, I want to get paid that much, therefore I'm going to work to earn it, and I'm going to go get it. And the only thing that we have to hope for is that they stay at Michigan to go earn it, and that they don't jump on the transfer portal and go get it from somebody else. That's the danger and the problem that exists across college football right now.
Yeah, it's crazy. He's Doug Skene, Michigan's former All-Big Ten offensive lineman. Skene, we've taken up enough of your time on this beautiful day. Go back out on your boat. I think it's called NFL Settlement, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sorry. What's it called?
It's called Living Under Par, Balas.
Oh, I got you. That's even better. Yeah. Well, you'll get there someday, my friend. So,
thanks.
Yep. So he is also the forward tee champion at the Tullymore Classic. So, and I've got your T-shirt still here.
And I will wear it. I
know you will.
Comes, and it's going to happen later this summer.
Yes, sir.
I will put on the pink T-shirt, and I will play golf from the forward tees like we do in the evenings over there. And I will listen to you and Simonson giggle And it'll probably be 2 sizes too small, so I'm going to look like Will Ferrell out there.
I can't wait.
That guy in a little shirt.
Perfect.
But I don't care. I'm gonna stroke that golf ball. I'm gonna put that Titleist up over it, a nice little baby draw. Then I'm gonna put it in the middle of the green, and I'm gonna putt for a birdie. And if the worst thing happens, I'll make a par, and you guys will be over in the weeds.
You're totally right, 100%. I wish I could argue with that, but I can't. Skene, I appreciate your time, man. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, you too, Balas. Go Blue.